Welcome back, everyone, to Grand Tactician, the Civil War. If you have not seen all of the Union campaign that we're currently in up to this point, there's a link in the description that will take you back to the beginning. We're diving right into the action here, or at least the information. The Confederacy has introduced impressment, so they're going to start impressing people. That was one of the major causes of the War of 1812, was the British impressment of American sailors into their service. If you have a requested unit through Patreon, all of those requests have now been recruited with two exceptions. And those two exceptions are simply because I don't have the men in the requested states. So the Michigan Wolverines is one of them. The other one is the Lincoln Loyalists. But I promise as soon as we have sufficient recruits, we will have those two units requested or recruited. And every unit that has been requested through Patreon will be in the game. So McClellan's Army of the Kanawha is now in the process of capturing Wheeling, West Virginia, which is kind of a fascinating thing to me as someone who lives about 45 minutes from Wheeling, that was part of the Confederacy. But at the start of the Civil War, it was in Virginia. Virginia was just, Virginia was within an hour and a half of Lake Erie at that point. So it did jut pretty far north at the time. So we're about to capture Wheeling. We're going to grab this Confederate telegraph station, and then we're going to wait for McClellan's army to get ready again. They're at 40% supply right now, which obviously is a major concern. But there's a supply depot right here in Grafton, which we're going to go grab right now. Jefferson Davis has been provisionally elected. We can't move until we get back into the yellow for readiness. So we're kind of stuck there at the moment. Taking a look at our other armies, Joe Hooker currently has 23,000 of his expected strength of 32,000 in the Army of the Ohio. The good news there, of course, is that he is in full supply. The weather's not great, but they're going into winter quarters now that it's November. There is a supply depot here that I actually would like to upgrade. So let's go ahead and do that. We want Nashville to be a spot where we've got good supply. We're waiting for our Mississippi squadron to get up to snuff. That's going to take some time. In fact, let's take a look at that fleet for just a minute, because we're in the process of building the Arizona and the Barataria, which are going to be our ironclad river gunboats. Those are going to add 34 guns to that fleet, which is going to make it quite formidable, and we should be able to take on that New Orleans squadron easily with that. I see his Army of Tennessee is starting to move south. It's a pretty small army. Grant's army is in full supply at the moment, but the further we march south, the more that's going to become an issue. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, and obviously we're going to have to build a supply depot at some point. You can see he's starting to shift these armies outside of Memphis a little bit because he knows at some point I'm going to have to make a run for Corinth. This is pretty historical. Battle of Shiloh was fought when you had Grant's army and then the Army of the Ohio coming down toward Corinth, and they parked kind of right here, and that's where the Battle of Shiloh takes place. It seems as though they may have abandoned St. Louis, although maybe I just can't see the army that's there. But we're going to go ahead. Oh, well, I was about to move across with Harney's army, but he's not in a place of readiness to be able to do that right now. So we're going to be kind of stuck there. In the meantime, Army of the Susquehanna is going to go up against the South Carolina State Militia and the Hampton Division. Pretty even in terms of the numbers involved, but we'll see how the battle goes. All right, this is pretty cool. I am 99% sure I've never fought on this battle map before, so I'm excited for this one. This is going to be interesting. This is the Battle of the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal in Maryland. So the Confederacy has crossed the Potomac River, and they've invaded Maryland, which is where I have this army sitting. It's pretty even. I mean, we could not ask for a more even match going in. Morale's really high on both sides. So this should be interesting. We're going to deploy across the river so we don't have to cross it later. What is that? Rock Creek. Okay, cool. All right, so I've got what I feel is a pretty strong position along this creek right here. We're just going to sit tight and wait until we see him, because all the objective points that he holds are way over here. And that leaves just the one objective point, but I think at some point that's probably going to become an issue for me, and I'm going to have to be forced to attack because he's going to start earning those points. And with the morale favoring me at the moment, I think it's probably going to want me to attack, which is why it's saying attack right now. He has the superior ground and he's defending, so I think I have no choice. Okay, so we've moved up to just about within sight of these objective points here. Still not spotting him. I really need to get some cavalry in this army. In the meantime, let's use Cadwallader, send some skirmishers out. Same with Blair, see if we can't get a little better view of what's in front of us. It appears like there's nothing there, so we're going to go ahead and move Blair up to seize this objective. We'll take this one with Cadwallader. We'll move Kime across. He's obviously defending back in here somewhere along this next set of objectives. Alright, we caught him moving. Pemberton's artillery coming straight down that road. So let's start moving up my own artillery. I'm going to try and find a spot for it. This isn't the best place for me to be using artillery. These woods are everywhere. Actually, I'm going to park the 3-inch ordnance back here. We'll try to bring the 12-pound Napoleons up a little closer. And then let's see what happens. Alright, let's get Blair moved up a little bit further. Alright, he's coming in from over here, it looks like. I'm going to move Blair up to this spot here. Because if he's all over here, then we might be able to swing Blair around. Numbers are pretty even, and now it's telling me we can go ahead and defend the position that we're at. I might have been better off to drop back. To behind this line here. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. Except for Blair. We'll still bring him up. So here's what we're looking at from left to right. We got Wingcoop's Brigade, 155th Pennsylvania, under Weed right there. We've got George Thomas. He's going to need a promotion at some point. Darius Couch, Alpheus Williams. And then over here we have the Tar Heel Boys with their bright blue uniforms. Well, he appears to be pretty spread out, because now we can see Hood's cavalry coming down this road with some additional artillery. I'm going to give Tar Heel Boys refuse right flank order. So then hopefully they can kind of hook this around a little bit. We've reached the end of the day, so we can go ahead and redeploy now. I'm actually going to go ahead and redeploy the Tar Heel Boys back over here behind this line. I like this defensive position, and now we can actually use it. Alright, looks like he's coming straight at my center. He's concentrating everything there. So if that indeed is what happens, we might be able to swing around with our flanks. But pretty much we just need to hold. We've got these 12-pound Napoleons right up on the line. I'm trying to pull my 3-inch ordnance back far enough to where they've got line of sight over these trees to actually be able to fire, and it looks like they do. At least they show firing. I don't know if they actually are. It's pretty early in the fighting, obviously, but there have been some casualties. 72 on my side, 150 for him. Our estimate still shows him with more men, but I don't think that's entirely accurate. We'll have a better sense of that once we move in a little further into this battle. My morale's quite a bit higher, which is a nice change since we're fighting in a Union state. Confederates actually have slightly higher ground. Our skirmishers are starting to fall back. I'm going to go ahead and pull them in. At least from Cadwallader's division. Most of these units have rifles now. Looks like we've got Springfields for that whole division. Thomas, pull yours in too. So it's still kind of the initial feeling out process for this battle, it looks like. Alright, casualties are mounting. Like I said, we're getting a more accurate picture of his strength now. Three-inch ordnance is not firing. Let's try to find them a spot where they can fire. I'd like to do some counter battery fire if possible. Still trying to figure out what he's up to. He's bringing a lot of brigades down on me. Williams is going to rack up casualties fast. Did we drive one back? Yes, we did. Having those skirmishers from Brown out there are helping. They're getting some fire on his flank. Alright, now those guns are firing. How's it going here? Alright, pretty good. 6% losses for him, 4 for me. We need to break a few more brigades. We're up to a minor victory. Just need to hold the line. Why are we idle, guys? Why are we not firing on Lane's brigade? There they are. Alright, I'm going to send Weed out. See if we can't get some flanking fire there. Who's taking casualties? Sudsburg. Our battery. Okay. Oh, they lost their guns. Darn it. Yeah, see, I always seem to pay for it. I try to keep those 12-pounders up on the line, but it just doesn't seem to be worth it. Alright, I'm pulling Weed back. Looking good, looking real good. There, we just broke Barksdale. We got a major victory now. Now it's just a matter of maybe causing one more to break. I think he's pulling out. Nice job, Boyce. Good victory. Now that didn't seem like too long or too difficult of a battle, but Williams, for example, heavily involved. 800 losses. That's pretty significant. 470 in Couch's brigade. 417 for the Appalachian bushwhackers. So some of these units right in here were pretty heavily involved. We'd lost 563 men from the 155th Pennsylvania. So significant casualties there. He's going to pull back, and it's going to take a little while. But 11% losses for me, 19% for him. All right, well, there's the final 2,700 casualties for me, 6,400 for him. Most importantly, we drive the enemy from Maryland, and we get a much-needed victory in the Eastern Theater after a couple of tough setbacks there in the last episode. It's November 13th, 1861, so I don't imagine we're going to see a great deal of combat over the next couple of months, as we'll want to try and keep our armies intact in winter quarters. But if we see an opportunity to do anything beyond just building up our base of supply and maybe make a move for something like St. Louis, I'm certainly going to do that. The most important thing about this is, had they won that battle, they would have taken Washington, D.C., because you can see the blue was actually down to just this little bit here. They were about to take the city, and had they won that battle, that would have been it. We can't get McDowell's army moving quite yet. In fact, I'm going to look at McDowell. It doesn't look like there's an issue with him as a leader, but I still wonder if there isn't a better choice for who could lead that army. But right now, most of the generals only have like a little bit of leadership and administration. None of them are showing really high. I guess that is something that's going to develop over time. So it doesn't seem there's any better option. Maybe Buell. Yeah, in fact, I'm wondering if he isn't the way to go, because he's got a decent leadership and administration skill. I'm going to look around a little bit, because I think there might be some better options out there, even maybe within this army. And Burnside, no. Welsh looks pretty good. A lot of these guys have good fame because we've won some battles with that army, but I just don't see a lot of better options at the moment. So we're a couple of days away from print notes being done, which is much needed with our current credit rating at BBB-. Anything below that, and we won't be able to recruit further. I think at that point, we probably go for Militia Act 4, which gives us 36-month contracts. It also increases our recruitment quota, so we can get some of those additional units that we need. We also could do the Regulars Act, which I think might be helpful. That's only 23 days. That doesn't take nearly as long. McClellan's army is only at 40% in terms of readiness, or in terms of supply. Now you can see as they get closer to Marietta, that's getting better. There's our new notes, which hopefully will help stabilize the economy a little bit. We've got to get the Army of the Kanawha over to Grafton, where there's supply, and then we can build up that supply depot once we capture it. Let's go ahead and do, I think we're going to do regulars first. Okay, so we've passed the Regulars Act, and while we're taking a look here, let's scroll back up, because the Confederates have sent all of their western armies to the Nashville area, which of course leaves Memphis wide open. So even though I wasn't really planning on doing much through the winter, we're going to go ahead and move Grant down through Jackson to Memphis, and we can hopefully supply him by river once we defeat the New Orleans squadron. Now, we can't quite do that yet. He's got 30 guns there, and we've only got 14. So I'm going to see if I can maybe transfer some more already existing squadrons to that unit, but I don't think we have any available ships to do that. So it looks like we're kind of stuck for the moment till these ones get built. So you can see as Grant moves with his army, the readiness is steadily dropping, the supplies are dropping. So all of that takes its toll on the army, especially moving that far through enemy territory at Christmas time. Hopefully once we get to Memphis, we can get the supply issue taken care of, get readiness back where it needs to be. Hooker's army's in good shape. They're in winter quarters. We're going to keep them parked right there in Nashville for the winter, just keeping an eye on the Confederate army. We've got to get our Navy going as quick as we can. We're in good shape here now outside of Washington. We've actually got a new army, the Army of Washington under John Gibbon. That's our regulars that are now in. Let's take a look at them real quick. We'll probably just combine them with the Army of the Potomac. Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of U.S. regulars. We'll just make that division. Actually, it's a corps. I wonder if we can reassign them as a corps to the other army. Can we put a corps under the Army of the Potomac? No, we can't. So we'll do this as a division in the Army of the Potomac for now. All right, so he is moving a pretty substantial force over toward McClellan in the Army of the Kanawha. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually transfer a division from the Army of the Potomac over to McClellan's army to help out. And I think we'll send, let me just take a look and see who's in each of these. Yeah, we're going to send Drury's division over there. I don't know how long it'll take for them, 6 days to get there. So that'll help out for them to be able to hold Grafton. Let's take a look over here and see what's going on. Looks like they're building up supplies and sitting outside of Nashville. Grant's just about to Memphis, where I'm hoping we can get supplies to him, because I'm a little concerned about the supply situation for Grant right now, being so far away. All right, so we're going to have a battle here in West Virginia. The new division did not quite get there. Oh, yeah, I think they did, because I don't think they had that many. No guns. We've got to get some artillery to McClellan. So here's our battlefield for the Battle of Grafton. It's another one we haven't fought on yet, so pretty excited about that, to get a chance to see some of these new battlefields. We're going to be sitting right here. Looks like we've got some pretty substantial mountains here, which makes sense. We're in West Virginia. The Confederate Army is going to be right in front of us. We're showing strength at 13,000, but I feel like he's probably got more. The problem is he's got artillery and I don't. I'd like to come in at him from back here if I can, but I don't see an easy way to do that. So I'm going to start getting myself set up. Here's that Custer's first cavalry. Nice. All right, let's get going. So I'm going to send Custer. No, not like that. We're going to have to give him don't use roads order. I'm going to bring Walcott right up in here. Move Drury forward. Move the 2nd Division forward. And then once Custer has that order not to use the road, then we'll send him out and around. Alright, he's reacting to what I'm doing, and he's going to shift to compensate for it. Once Custer gets out there, we may pretty much lose contact with him. Let's see if we have a better idea of his numbers now. Now it's saying 10,000. Has he got more coming? He does. In 4 hours, the Army of Georgia. Okay, well, there's our opportunity then. We've got to crush this guy while we've got him. While we've got the numbers. Just push forward and hit him. We've got him 2-1 right now. He's got a major advantage in victory points. We are technically fighting in the Confederacy in West Virginia, at least for now. Okay. So we've got the Calgary Highlanders seeing their first action. Adirondack Mountaineers seeing their first action. I'd like to get the Calgary Highlanders shifted over a little bit here if I can. Our Italian immigrant volunteers, Carabinieri Reali, and we've got the Wandering Regiment, the 8th Michigan, right here. and the Freedom Guards infantry. We're going to press this as hard as we can to try and break him before his reinforcements arrive. Come on, shift over. We need to get these guys up in here. Where's Custer? Alright, he's out there now. Getting orders to him is going to be tricky, though. But I want to try and get in behind and grab that objective point. Alright, Freedom Guards, get up there. Alright, now we're starting to get everybody where we want them. Oh boy. So the Wandering Regiment was just broken, but they were out there facing those guns. Calgary Highlanders commander has been wounded. This was their first action too. They only lost 98 men. Alright, we're going to try to keep this a little closer here. Turn, guys, turn. Why are we facing that way? A little concerned about them after losing their commander. Adirondack Mountaineers are unstable. Ooh, that concerns me a lot. What's the deal? They broke. Oh, all these guys in their first combat. Breaking quickly. This has turned into a minor defeat at the moment. We're going to have to break some of his. Not having artillery is certainly not helping the cause. Neither has been moving in front of his flanks, exposing our own flanks. Salomon's division's in danger because one of his brigades already broke and now the other one might as well. Having a hard time clicking on anybody at the moment. Okay, we've broken a couple Confederate units. Custer's making his move on the objective. I gotta get the Italians moved over here. Freedom Guards is nervous. They've only lost 88 men, but having so many units in their first combat seems to be an issue. 3rd Brigade just broke. My goodness, these guys are breaking. We've got a 2-to-1 advantage in numbers, but my men are breaking. I don't know if that's because it's McClellan or what. But this has just been a disaster in West Virginia right now. Ugh, that was absolutely brutal. I didn't really lose that many men. Okay, so, I mean, the casualties were even on both sides, but that was a quarter of his men, and it was only 10% of mine. But, boy, that morale was just brutal for us. So, hopefully, now that all those guys got their first combat out of the way, and maybe we go in and replace a few commanders, maybe we'll be okay, but we're going to have to take a hard look at that army because that should not have gone like that at all. Let's take a look and see what it says when we get back to the menu about who the biggest blame lies with on that one. So we're blaming Colonel Jordan. Obviously, we have a number of issues to deal with in this army. So our division commander wasn't even there. That's kind of interesting. Let's take a look at McClellan. He's not showing any issues from that battle. His leadership and administration are actually decent at the moment. Let's take a look at our other commanders. Gwynn's going to need to be replaced. He's wounded. Let's get Erasmus Keyes in there. All right, Jordan needs to be replaced. He's defamed. How about Israel Richardson? Everybody else is okay at the moment. That's going to be the main one, is just getting him replaced. We're going to need some more men there too, I think. That was ugly. That was brutal. That did not go the way I hoped at all. Okay, Grant is almost to Memphis. I'm really concerned about what the supply situation is going to be when he gets there. His readiness is super low. He's at 62% supply right now. Obviously, his army needs fed. We're about to take Memphis, and with it, the supply depot. But the question, of course, is where is that supply depot going to get its supplies from as the Union? So we've got Memphis. All right, well, Grant's showing as 100% supplied now. So we're going to let him park for the winter. It's January 1862. We've got to get his readiness back up before we can mount a spring campaign. Let's take a look and see where McClellan ended up. He probably went back to Wheeling, I would guess. Oh, no, he's in Pittsburgh. All right, so that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to deal with for a while. They've got Winchester. They've got Grafton back. The good news is that we've got an army, I think, pretty well ready to go. How many men's the Army of the Northwest got in Northern Virginia? Let's get a good look at them. 20,000 men. We could send the Army of the Susquehanna out. Although it's winter quarters, maybe we're better off just to sit tight for now. I think we probably are. All right, we finally managed to get enough recruits available to us to get our last two patron units queued up. The Lincoln Loyalists. Let's get them something better than these. Oh, we've got Enfields for the first time. Those are the first Enfields I've actually seen. And then we got the Michigan Wolverines on the way, as much as it pains me to do that. So we're going to give McClellan some time to get his readiness back up. Pretty much everybody's going to get their readiness back up until probably spring. And that's when we'll start launching some campaigns to start trying to take some of this territory back. So taking a look at our Navy for a minute, the Atlantic Blockading Squadron, 179 guns, is just shelling the heck out of Wilmington right now. So we ought to probably try and get a Navy down there, or an Army down there, to try and take Wilmington, because that's a major port for the Confederacy. Let's get a blockade. I guess we do already have a blockade order, because that's definitely what we want to be happening there. We're using Farragut's squadron to blockade down here. That port is not blocked. We ought to deal with that. We got to try and block some of these forts. So let's go ahead. We got to take Alexandria Port back from them. I'm going to send the Army of the Susquehanna down to deal with that, to take the Alexandria Port. We got to start watching his supplies. Let's send Farragut in, maybe to blockade Richmond. Can we do that? Let's give a blockade order here and see what happens. Rockets landing. Not blocked. All right, it's February 1862. The Army of the West is in good readiness position. It's time to march across and retake St. Louis. We just got our 3-year contracts. So where do we go next? That's Militia Act 4. That should also allow us to... is that how we get corps? I'm trying to remember. That might have been Military 1. I'm trying to remember how we create corps, because we're at the place where we need to be creating Army Corps now. I also need to add to our policies so we can get Diplomacy 2. That'll allow us to get some new weapons. For now, we're going to pass the Tariff Act. Let me take a look and see. Okay, so a lot of these armies are actually considered to be corps, like the Army of the Kanawha, Army of the Mississippi. They're all corps level, which means we have to create new armies to be able to incorporate them into corps. So we'll start with, I guess the Army of the Potomac is going to be the first one we divide into corps. We're going to have to recruit a new army. We'll recruit that army in Maryland. I don't, oh, nope, see, we can still only get corps level armies. It's military 2 that allows us to get corps organization, and that is going to require us to actually invest in politics to get an additional policy. Of course, now we've already started researching the Tariff Act. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because I want to get military 2 so we can get the core. That's going to take 53 days. We're going to move on St. Louis. As soon as we take St. Louis, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. We're strategically in position to have a good 1862. Of course, that's all going to depend on the outcome of battles. And if you haven't seen your patron unit fighting yet, don't worry. Armies like Grant's army and Hooker's army, which thus far have not really seen any action, they're definitely going to be seeing action in 1862. So you can count on that being a thing very near into the future. But we're about to take St. Louis, which is one of the largest cities in the Confederacy right now. Awesome. There it is. St. Louis is ours. Here's the current strategic situation. We've got 239,000 men in the field to his 145,000. I'm not going to recruit too much higher than that just because I don't want to have a just disgusting advantage in manpower. Navy tonnage, you can see the battles won, the total casualties on both sides. He's up to 58 on European relations, so that is of some concern for us right now. And trade warfare, we're going to have to start doing something about that. But overall, I think we're in pretty good shape moving forward. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Hit that like button if you would, and we will see you again real soon. Thanks for watching.